Angel Reese just got the boot from Unrivaled, and the silence surrounding it is almost deafening. The same league that crowned her as their first ever champion, the face of their brand, and the unapologetic symbol of their rising fame, has now scrubbed her existence clean. She never even mattered. No press release. No farewell post. No official explanation, just gone. And behind the polite silence lies a story of frustration, disappointment, and consequence. Because according to insiders, this wasn't about scheduling conflicts or contract disputes. It was personal. What unfolded behind those closed doors wasn't just a business decision. It was a reckoning. The controversy began quietly when Unrivaled dropped their 2025 roster announcement. Every major star returned for Season 2, except one. Fans noticed immediately. Social media lit up with confusion. "Where's Angel?" It trended for hours, but the league stayed silent. No injury update, no scheduling excuse, just a name missing from the lineup. For someone who'd once been marketed as the heartbeat of the league, that silence was more than an omission. It was a statement. According to multiple reports, Unrivaled executives had spent weeks debating whether Angel Reese was worth the chaos she brought. And when they finally voted, the decision was unanimous. The breaking point, sources say, came during last season's playoffs. While her teammates were battling for a championship, Reese was nowhere to be found. She wasn't benched. She wasn't injured. She simply wasn't there. Instead, she FaceTimed into the post-game celebration from home, smiling into the camera while her teammates raised the trophy without her. For the league that built its first season around her image, that was the moment things began to crumble. Teammates reportedly tried to stay professional in public, but privately, the resentment was real. How do you rally behind a leader who isn't even willing to show up when it counts? The pattern wasn't new either. Back in Chicago, the Sky organization had been dealing with similar frustrations. Injuries that healed just in time for brand deals and photo shoots. Technical fouls that shifted momentum in tight games. Social media drama that overshadowed actual performance. One anonymous Sky player admitted that the team's entire mood changed whenever Reese was in the building, and not in a good way. "It was like walking on eggshells," the player said. "You never knew if the next game was going to be basketball or a circus." The situation came to a head when internal Unrivaled documents leaked earlier this year. The data told a story executives could no longer ignore. Viewership had plummeted by nearly 70% after the league's opening weekend, despite millions poured into marketing Reese as the centerpiece. Her viral clips racked up 31 million views across platforms, but the audiences didn't stick around. Engagement would spike after a trash talk moment or a heated exchange, only to crash days later. In one brutal report, Unrivaled's marketing team coined the term the diminishing returns effect. Fans loved the controversy for a while, but not enough to care about the games. One executive reportedly summed it up perfectly during a tense meeting. "We're running a basketball league, not a reality show." Behind the scenes, other leagues were taking notes. Athletes Unlimited reportedly considered signing Reese, but backed off after seeing the backlash Unrivaled faced. Even overseas teams, often quick to offer hefty contracts to recognizable names, hesitated. Her reputation for unreliability had spread faster than any highlight reel. And when her former Unrivaled teammates began speaking anonymously, the image got worse. One player claimed Reese would scroll her phone during timeouts to check how her latest post was performing. Another said she'd brainstorm podcast ideas during film sessions. Her focus wasn't basketball, it was branding. Financially, the numbers told the same story. Reese had reportedly demanded $250,000 for Season 2, one of the highest salaries in Unrivaled. But her jersey sales flatlined after an early surge. Ticket sales in her cities barely moved the needle. Meanwhile, players making half her salary were outperforming her in stats and fan loyalty. When the executives ran the cost-benefit analysis, the math just didn't work. She had become too expensive, too unpredictable, and too polarizing to justify the risk. What really sealed her fate, though, wasn't the stats or the scandals. It was a January 2025 meeting between Unrivaled and WNBA officials. They discussed the future of women's basketball marketing and whether controversy-driven branding could survive. The conclusion was clear. Short-term clicks weren't worth long-term damage. They cited Caitlin Clark as the model of what women's basketball needed: discipline, professionalism, and skill. Clark's fan base grew because of her performance, not her feuds. The same couldn't be said for Reese. That contrast became impossible to ignore. While Angel Reese dominated headlines for her antics, players like Sophie Cunningham were quietly building reputations as leaders, winning games, improving chemistry, and focusing on results. The industry began shifting its priorities. The days of manufacturing drama for engagement were ending. Leagues and sponsors wanted stability. They wanted athletes who elevated the sport, not overshadowed it. Still, Reese's camp tried to salvage things. They reached out to Unrivaled executives with a proposal: lower salary, improved behavior, even a redemption arc storyline for Season 2 marketing. But Unrivaled didn't bite. Their response was short and cold. "We've moved on." And that was that. They signed quieter players, steady contributors, team-first athletes. Not viral stars, not distractions, professionals. The fallout was swift. Brands that once competed for Reese's endorsement deals began quietly backing away. Her public image, once celebrated as confident and bold, now carried a different label: difficult. In the WNBA, the Chicago Sky reportedly explored trade options but found no takers. Teams that could use her talent didn't want the baggage that came with it. It's the harshest punishment an athlete can face, being too good to ignore but too troublesome to sign. What made Unrivaled's decision especially brutal was how they handled it. No press conference, no firing, no drama, just omission. Her name erased from the roster like she never existed.